Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. What I've written today is just some things that I want you to be aware of. This is the last time that we're talking about goals and doing all of that. This whole month, though, to me has been, this is a month of basically refinement so that we can get into the weeds and really go crazy with our goals. Because this is setting the tone for our year. And it's, while we're not going to be accomplishing everything right away, we can certainly start chunking them down and making them happen in a real sort of way. And I'm going to go through what I have here, which are 7 things that'll really help you to do this and really kind of tighten things up a little bit. If you're doing all of this, should really help a lot. What we're going to be talking about today is just, we're going to wrap this whole thing up, tie it in a bow. I'm going to drop kick it into your living room, and hopefully you're going to do something with it, right? Goals are important. Goals are something that, again, people have been overwhelmed with, been befuddled with, and just saying, how am I supposed to do that when I've got all of this going on? Well, this is just, we've got to have them in order to have our days not look like Groundhog Day every single day. This is how we can live our lives with intention, on purpose, for purpose, and we can actually have a productive life. Nobody wants to have an unproductive life. Nobody. Now, this production, as we're calling it, is really incredibly important because this is how we derive meaning out of life. This is why we understand why we're here. Mm-hmm. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So Andrew Carnegie said this: if you want to be happy, set a goal that commands your thoughts, liberates your energy, and inspires your hopes. And that's pretty much what we've intended to do with the Take Back Your Life journal. So long-term goals, listen, we all know this, they can be completely overwhelming. They can paralyze you. And that's why we break them down to 12-week segments. Even if you have like a big, hairy, audacious goal, that's called a BHAG. Let's say it's something big to accomplish. You want to lose 100 pounds. Can it be done in a year? You betcha by golly, yeah, no problem. It can be done in a year. Can't be done in 12 weeks, but it can be done in a year. You can take that goal, that little piece of that goal, and have that be your intention, an intentional goal that you set for the next 12 weeks. Long-term goals are very easily forgotten, but not if they're broken down and created into a focus for the next 12 weeks. You see how that works? Isn't that exciting too? Because then we don't have to sit there and think, oh, this is too much. It's too overwhelming. It's too. We've got it already put down in bite-sized pieces. And I don't want you to ever set them and forget them. You want to set it and forget it. That's, your thermostat, but not your life. You don't want to do it on that. We want to get down into the weeds. So how do we do that? Well, the first thing you're going to want to do is a shorter timeline. You have to do a shorter timeline. Now, I read a book. Did I bring it up here? I did. Oh, I brought the workbook up, which was pretty much worthless. But The 12-Week Year. This is a book by Brian Moran, Moran. I loved it because this is to me just made my head explode. Because at the time I would set goals, they wouldn't happen. It was a frustrating process. And Brian Moran showed me that I could get more done in 12 weeks than some people get done in a year, simply by taking and condensing my goals into that 12-week time period. That 12-week time period doesn't mean that The big thing is going to be accomplished, but it means that the focus is there and the focus on what needs to happen in the next 12 weeks gets accomplished. Doesn't that connect the dots? Jennifer said the whole idea of the intention for your goals is a game changer. Exactly. That's exactly it. Hey, Cornelia, I'm glad you're here. It's true. It's true because it changes your mind. It changes your focus. It changes you from being way over here and puts you back right here where you need to be, so that now you're thinking about it. If you don't think about it, it's out of sight, out of mind, right? So that's how we do that. We give it shorter timelines. We break down the BHAG and we do it 12 weeks at a time. Instead of the 100-pound goal, we are now focused on 25 pounds. Can it be done? Oh, heck yes. Heck, it can be done. As long as you've got, then that's going to cause you to create some other steps, which we'll talk about here in just a minute. Number 2 is that you write out the benefits of your goals using an I am statement daily. That's what you do. You take that goal, and that goal triggers off triggers the I am statement that you're writing out daily. You learn this in the workshop that we just did, and I'm not here to do the workshop again. I'm giving you ideas, and I'm hopefully going to trigger you to go watch the workshop if you own the Take Back Your Life journal already. You got to own the journal, because the journal is the setup and the framework to get this work done. So it really makes a big hairy difference, doesn't it? And that is, as you write out this I am statement, remember, I am statements are so powerful. I am statements, using your own name, powerful, because your brain understands that and connects to that. Remember something, this is the whole thing. Mindset stuff that we talk about all the time, because mindset is the indicator. If you've got a good mindset, you're going to succeed on all these different things, because the stuff that comes back, you're going to know how to combat. Because we always have stuff that comes in and says, no, you're not going to do that. Let me disrupt you. Let me interrupt you here and take away all your drive and your motivation and your momentum and everything. It'll happen. If you're a human, yeah, it'll happen. But if you do this, writing out these benefits, you're going to figure it out. Believe me, you will figure it out. It might need to be woven in somehow. You might not be able to have the luxury of saying, I'm going to take this period of time, this area of my life, and do it at this time every day, like I do. Your life could look completely different. However, if you are writing them out in I am statements, you are putting out the intention, and you're affirming what it is that you are becoming, right? I shared this with over and over again here about my I am an athlete. And I keep saying to you, I might not look like an athlete, but I am. I can see it in my performance. I can just see it in how I feel when I go up the stairs every day, from the lake. Because we have a big staircase that goes to the lake, and it's like 67 steps or something, and it's all boom, straight uphill. It's not for wimps. When we first started going up and down those, I'd have to stop and go, not anymore. I'm an athlete. I can do those stairs. And when you write out the benefits of the goals daily using I am statements, you're flexing your decision muscles about who you are being, who you are becoming, and that this is important enough to put your prefrontal cortex into the equation. Otherwise, it's just sitting in the back of your mind somewhere. Maybe it'll pop up again, or maybe you'll forget about it. That's why we do this on a daily basis. Number 3 is that we track our progress. How's this done? Well, there's checklists that you can do, because sometimes when you make a goal, that isn't the be all end all. There's all kinds of stuff that needs to go with it. But creating the goal, and hear me on this, this is important. Creating the goal doesn't mean that you've created the process for it. It just means that you've made a statement about this goal. I am an athlete, joyfully training at the table and in the gym daily. That's one of my goals. I've shared that with you in the workshops. I've shared that with you here. That's written here in my book, and it's going to stay with me, because that's what I'm making my identification into, is this athleticism that I so much want, and there's always a step further to go. I've noticed the progress. And the progress has been on the fact that I created a calendar for this. And I have time set aside every single day for this goal. Every single day. Every single day. It's up to me to show up, but that's part of it. I use that. I use accountability. I have an accountability partner. I found one on my in my Peloton group, and I show her, I take a snapshot, a screenshot of all the classes that I performed, and then I send it to her through Facebook Messenger daily. She does the same thing with me. That's my accountability. And also in my calendar, I will figure out, is there more time that I need for something? Is there something else that I need to add to the equation? I plan my meals because that's what athletes do. They plan their meals. I do different things that relate to this goal and hold this goal up. Number 3 is that you track your progress. Well, yeah, I already said, did I just say that? Yeah, track your progress, checklist, accountability, and a calendar. Number 4 is you stack your stuff into the time you have. You know what that means? That means maybe mornings are better for you than evenings. Maybe that means that right there in the middle of the afternoon, that's when, all the toddlers are napping or whatever, that's your best time. In other words, hear me on this. Whatever your situation is, you have the time, maybe not all the time you want, maybe not the ideal time that you want, but the time is there somewhere that tucked into your day. It's up to you to mine it and to figure it out it's like panning for gold. How am I going to get that? How am I going to find that? You find it by looking for it, and you figure it out according to what your situation is. I will tell you, for me, mornings are the best. My morning is stacked up with all kinds of stuff. I love it because, I can tell you, the dream team knows they're putting all these messages and they're not hearing from me. They don't hear from me until usually right before or right after the show. And because I have a whole mess of stuff that I'm getting done in the morning, personal, professionally, all my goals. I'm working on the stuff that's part of my goals, and I'm staying the course. For the most part, I'm staying pretty good. I'm doing it excellently, not perfectly, but it makes me feel good. And it brings in the momentum that I need for the rest of the day to get these things done and to do the things that I need to do. So I plan my to-dos in the time allotted that I have to get them done. Does that mean that you're going to do it the same way that I do it? I'm going to doubt. No, I'm going to say no, because chances are you've got a job that you need to show up for. Chances are you've got somebody that you're taking care of, and it doesn't. And mornings are stacked up. Your mornings with your child or your elderly parent are ridiculous. So it's not a matter of what I'm doing. It's a matter of what you need to do and when you have the best time to do it. And even that can be tenuous. But that's what we do, is that we are constantly evaluating and constantly looking for the time and stacking it up and using our time as the precious resource that it is. When we don't, we waste time, and time just goes away. And then the next thing you know, we're at the end of the day saying, well, that was a bust. Today didn't work out really well. So that's why we do it the way that we do it. And I like to say, and I've said this to a lot of my coaching clients, but if we act like our pants are on fire and that the most important thing that we do is to figure this stuff out, we do. We do. We don't say we can't. We don't say it's overwhelming. We don't say, well, because of this, I cannot. We say, this is the reality of my life. And somehow I'm going to figure out where to tuck all these things in, because I need to figure this out. It's yours to figure out. Does this mean bringing in somebody you need, hiring something done, or brainstorming with another person? I don't know what it means. But if there's something that you're stuck on, there's something that you're stuck on, but it doesn't need to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. It just means it's entirely figure-outable. Okay? So that's how we do it. And we break it down and we bake it in, is what we do. We break it down and we break it in, because it's a reverse engineering problem, is what it is. Here's my goal. If you want to lose 100 pounds, you don't just do it doing the best that you can every day. I'm doing the best I can every day. No plan, no goal, no, you're not looking at the things. What are the metrics for this particular goal? Well, the metrics are, as you well know, your goals. Is your sleep dialed in? Is your hydration dialed in? What about your food? Do you have a plan for your food for the week? What about your exercise and your movement? You know, all of these things make they all play into, and they add and reinforce your goal. That's how you bake it in. Every day you're doing something about it. So you make a to-do list. I need to do all these things. And then you put it in and you schedule it. I need to schedule this stuff. And then you do it. And then you do shampoo, rinse, repeat, shampoo, rinse, repeat. And at the end of 12 days, you're looking at a goal accomplished. That's how this whole thing works. That's the easy part. That is the easy part, to see the whole engineering, to see the architecture of how this goal works and how it's all broken down and how it fits in. Isn't that exciting though? Because now we can see, yeah, this is definitely something I can get done. And number 6 is that we stay the course by creating accountability. Find your tribe is the whole deal. Here's a couple of things. One, we have one built in for you in the Hot Melt Mix, the Hot Melt Sprint group. It's there. You need somebody, put a little note out there, put a post out there and say, you know what, I need an accountability partner. We call them body clutter buddies. If we go a step further, you can do it. This is how this whole thing works. You start big. I need a community. Okay, here's your community. Here's your like-minded people. When you say pinkies up or do something, they all are going to speak the same language and do the same thing, because we all know. When you say that I had a really successful sprint, they're not going to know what you're talking about. Being around like-minded people, absolutely the best. And it makes you feel like you belong, because you do. You speak the same language. You're talking about the same thing. You have the same objectives. This is important. So there's that. And then, of course, there's also, I want to really make sure that this happens. So what do? You find an accountability partner. You say, I need a body clutter buddy. You put a post out there and you say, I want this to happen for me. Okay. If you want this to happen for you, if this is what it is that you want to have happen, then that body clutter buddy is going to be the one who's going to be able to sit with you and have time with you to encourage you, and you do the same for your body clutter buddy. You know what the studies tell us? The studies tell us that if we're doing something in community, we are more likely to succeed. If we're doing something with a one-on-one accountability, we're more likely to show up and to do this. But if we take it to the third step, which is schedule actual accountability meetings with our accountability partner. We meet every other Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, and we say, okay, so tell me how it went. Get on Zoom, get on, whatever, or FaceTime each other, whatever. How did it go? What was your stumbling place? What did you learn from this whole time? Then the studies show us, and get this, buckle up. The research shows us that people who do this with an accountability partner are 95% more likely to hit their goals than those who don't. And they were talking about weight loss, but yeah, it's pretty substantial if you are in it that much. If you're in it that much, that's how you stay the course. You stay the course because you're with the people who know exactly what it is you're doing. You stay the course because you're with a body clutter buddy who you're checking in with. You stay the course even more so and really create an actual doable plan, because one, you've got your body clutter buddy who's going to be contributing to that idea. Well, maybe you should try this. Oh my gosh, what a good idea. Why didn't I think of that? Two minds are better than one when it comes to those kind of things. And when you're doing those accountability meetings, you're not showing up with a bunch of excuses. Remember last week's whole thing? Remember last week? The walls of your comfort zone are lovingly decorated with the lifelong collection of favorite excuses. You've moved. You've moved. You've moved to a place where you're now believing in the magic. You see the difference? You believe in magic because you're making it. You're making your own magic. You're not waiting for someday school. You're attending right now. You're in Take It Back school. You're taking back everything that you want in your life, and you're figuring it out, and you're fitting it in where you can. That's what you're about. You're about possibilities, not limitations. There's a big shift to that whole thing. So the last one I will say is that you start to visualize it as well. When we can attach to a goal the emotion that we feel about something, then we're halfway there. We're there because now we're saying, I want this so much I can feel it. I want this so much I can cry over it. I want this so much, and I'm looking at it not from, oh, but I can't have it. You need to look at it the way you need to look at it. You need to look at it from the perspective of, this house is what I want on a lake with a dock and a boat. I've shared that 350 times. I have, because that's all I could think about. That's all I wanted. And when I say it's all I could think about, I had my mind every day. I thought about it. I woke up and I thought about it. I closed my eyes and thought about it, and thought about the visual that I had on my Vibrant Vision board. Just thought about it, which is, remember, a representation of what you want, not exactly. It very rarely is exactly what you get. It's a representation. Every day I did that. And then when I went to bed at night, I'd find myself, my mind would just want to go everywhere. And I trained myself to say, no, when I go to sleep at night, I'm going to think about that visual of what was on my Vibrant Vision board. First thing I woke up with was thinking about that. When I went to bed, I was thinking about it. Have you noticed that I haven't talked once about how? Not once. Because I didn't know how. I had no idea how. I just needed to know what. And I needed to know kind of what it looked like, sort of. I also needed to feel it. I needed to be about it. Nothing's impossible when you have that kind of a situation built up. Nothing. Thanks for joining me today. That was it for us for this whole goal week and weekend and what have you. Next week, we'll be on to something completely different. I really appreciate the fact that you show up. If you want to share this, of course you can. Of course you can. We always have people saying, hey, is it okay if I share this? You can share the heck out of anything. I appreciate it when you do. And I also appreciate the fact that you do show up and that you are participating in these programs and you are becoming the very best that you can be. Remember, your life is going to have a ripple effect to everyone around you who you touch. It's a big responsibility, but that's part of the calling, and that's part of our purpose. I'm so glad, like I said, you're a part of this. Don't forget to get our newsletter. Just go to savingdinner.com, fill out the little form that pops up. Bye. Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.